RT is the newest brawler in Brawl Stars, and believe me when I say, he is absolutely busted. So you know what? You don't have to believe me because I'm going to show you. I'm putting RT 1v1 versus every other brawler in Brawl Stars. Now, RT is classified as a damage dealer with Brawl Stars' new classification system. He does, however, have a very long range, so let's start this off versus the marksman. Now, RT has a range similar to Brock, although his initial shot only does 1500 damage. But the trick here is that when you shoot somebody, it leaves a mark on them, and that mark causes the next shot hit to deal double the damage. So his first two shots combined deal 4,500 damage. And while he doesn't really need a third shot for most of these brawlers, you can see that versus Bonnie, he does have a third shot and it adds another 3,000 damage. So that's 7,500 damage in 3 shots, which is enough to take almost any brawler down. So let me break in here real quick. This is Lex from the future. It turns out that Brawl Stars also felt that RT was a little bit cracked, so they actually just nerfed his damage down to 1,050. The mark still does double damage, which means with the mark he deals 2,050. And when he splits in two and uses a super, he can deal up to 5,100 damage with both of his halves hitting at the same time. So still absolutely ridiculous, but just bear that in mind while you watch this, that he has actually been nerfed after this video was made. So enjoy. RT's damage ramps up so quickly that he has very little trouble taking down any of these brawlers. Now, in a real game, I can see this being a pretty close fight. Yes, RT does have more damage potential. However, the marksmen actually have slightly more range. It's not much, so if you're playing a marksman, stay at your max range. And if you get marked by RT, make sure that the next shot does not hit or fall back until that mark fades. I say that, however, his first star power makes it so that his mark lasts 3 seconds longer than normal, meaning you're going to have to really play it safe or risk taking massive damage.
Soy el mejor!
Even though RT has 7,200 hit points at max level, when he is toe-to-toe with a big tank like Bull, he doesn't stand much of a chance. Daryl gives him the same treatment, and although he does manage to take down a tank or two, his unload speed is actually really slow. This highlights one of his few weaknesses. While his shots can deal an impressive amount of damage, he can't unload those shots very fast. And his reload speed isn't very fast either, as he loses some fights just because of this. That being said, even though he doesn't perform well up close against tanks, in an actual game, I think you're going to find RT isn't the target you want to go after if you're playing a tank. The reason for this is his super. When activated, his top half detaches from his body. Both the top and the bottom half attack at the same time, and they can both mark and attack the same target. What this means is you can deal a jaw-dropping amount of damage insanely fast to everything around you. And to make matters worse, his second star power gives him a 20% damage reduction while in split form. Plain and simple, you do not want to approach him when he has a super ready. And if he's already in his super form and split, watch out for that second gadget because it'll send a pulse between his two halves. It's a rather small projectile and it moves slowly, but it will also slow you down and deal a small amount of damage if it hits you. Now, this is a new category called the Artillery. It's one of Supercell's newest classifications. All of these brawlers are mainly throwers, as we know them, except for Penny. The throwers never stand much of a chance in these standstill interactions, and there isn't anything about that changing today. Now, RT can two-shot most of these brawlers, and while yes, Grom does put out some damage, RT puts out some damage with a capital D and wins easily. Another risk for these brawlers is actually his first gadget. When he uses it, it will explode a mark on a target, dealing base damage. So it's basically like a free 1,500 damage. So if you get hit and have that mark on you and you have less than 1,500 hit points, RT can use the gadget and take you out even if you're behind a wall where you want to be. That combined with when he is in his super, his split form, his shots do go through walls much like Jackie, so you're going to have to really play it safe. However, if you do, then this isn't such a bad matchup for the artillery brawlers.
Mortis, bringer of doom!
Now, the assassins thrive on getting up close and personal while dealing their damage, and yes, there are some here who actually win, like Leon, thanks to his impressive burst damage, but the majority of the matchups here actually lose. That's not good news for these brawlers either, as RT is primarily a long-range brawler. Crow easily gets two-shot with his small health pool, and while yes, Edgar does make it close thanks to those fisticuffs, he still goes down. Now, the three beefy brawlers in Sam, Fang, and Buzz all have pretty close matches as well because they have the hit points to stick around for a while without actually just getting destroyed instantly. In an actual game, this is going to be a mixed bag. If you can catch RT off guard, then you stand a good chance of winning. However, if he has his super ready to go, do not even think about going in for the kill. You will get absolutely obliterated. So pick your spots carefully and you should do okay. The support brawlers really rely on teammates to help them do the best in battle, but here in the 1v1 tests, they have none. So as you would expect, RT makes quick work of most of these brawlers. Poco doesn't have the damage to keep pace, and Max, well, she doesn't have the hit points. Byron is still looking for his first win in these tests, and Gray, he gives it a good try, but in the end is left speechless. However, Pam, aka your mom, is there as the team's lone bright spot in these tests, as she has both the damage and the health to get a win. In a normal game, you shouldn't end up in these situations too often, but if you do, it would be best to play it safe and wait for your teammates to get back to you. As a support brawler, you just don't have the damage to do much, and RT has such good range that it will be a tough matchup for you. Now, this is kind of a generic category for Brawl Stars. Most brawlers could fit in here, but these brawlers' primary focus is just to dish out the damage and get the kills. Now, we also see a lot of big damage dealing brawlers here too, including RT, as he's classified as a damage dealer. As we see him taking on all the other damage dealers, you will see that many of these fights are very close. Some of them he loses, like against Chester, who I cycled to his third shot to start off with, and Shelly, who just edged him out thanks to her band-aid and RT's very slow reload speed. Now, one of the most common comparisons to RT is going to be 8-Bit, and I think it's a rather good one. In fact, when they squared off head-to-head, it's as close as any fight could be. They both basically die at the same time. These two brawlers are very similar in many different ways. Both brawlers can help their teammates deal more damage. Both have a long range and high damage. Both have high hit points. That being said, RT is more versatile than 8-Bit, and I expect him to be used quite a bit more. Now, in a real game, these damage dealers all have their qualities where they shine, and if played right, many of these matchups are pretty close. Now, I still think that RT has an advantage over many of these brawlers. RT's point damage is just so great that he stops most brawlers from ever getting close to him, and those that do may face the wrath of his super. You don't want that.
Keep it frosty!
Now, our final category is the controllers. This is a pretty broad category as well. The brawlers here range from ones like Jessie, who loses pretty fast, to others like Sandy, who also loses really fast. Now, we have brawlers like the powerful Otis, who loses, but then there are other long-range brawlers like Amber, who also loses. I think that you're getting the picture here. Most of these brawlers don't have a ton of damage, but there are some bright spots, like Griff, who's classified as a controller, I'm assuming because of his super, and Ems also does a good job of bringing his health down, and Bo takes a pretty good chunk off too. Lou, as we saw in our cage match videos, does really well, but others like Jean and Gale, they can't get the job done. Now, in a normal game, this category is so varied, it's really hard to say definitively, but the brawlers here thrive on keeping space and position against others, and they should look to do the same against RT. You do not want to find yourself in a toe-to-toe confrontation with this surveillance robot, or you might end up on the camera feed for a homicide. So then, we have seen RT face off against every single brawler in Brawl Stars. The question is, just how good is he going to be? The short answer? Flipping amazing. I truly think that RT is one of the strongest brawlers I have ever seen come into the game, thanks in big part to his mark and the double damage. Now, you can either deal that double damage yourself and do amazing, or your teammates can help you dispatch of the enemies too. Think about a Dynamite super that's marked. That's like 8,000 damage in one shot. His super allows him to deal mind-bending damage up close, as well as hold multiple positions at the same time. While Noah's super doesn't allow him to go across water, you can reactivate it and move back to your body regardless of the distance. Plain and simple, if you can get the Brawl Pass this season, I think that you're going to be thrilled with RT. He's an amazing brawler as well as a really super fun character. I'd rate him a very solid 8.5 out of 10. Lex approved.